on Panther TV, we'll introduce you to Plymouth's new Superintendent of Schools.
Fall athletes had a chance to play this fall. Find out how players adjusted to the new COVID rules.
And while some businesses have struggled, the real estate market is on fire. Find out why now is the best time to sell, but maybe not the best time to buy. This and more coming your way on Panther TV.
Good morning, Plymouth South. Thanks for joining us for a new year of Panther TV. I'm Nick Ahern.
And I'm Lily Christian. This school year has brought many new experiences for us, including a new superintendent.
Panther TV's Jennifer Rowland talks to Dr. Chris Campbell about his new role leading the Plymouth Public Schools.
This fall, the offices here at Plymouth Public Schools have many familiar faces, but some in new roles. Starting at the top with the Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Chris Campbell.
Dr. Campbell is no stranger to Plymouth Public Schools. For the past 12 years, he's served as an assistant superintendent.
A little over 12 years ago, Dr. Maestas had hired me to be the assistant superintendent for administration and instruction. So as Dr. Maestas came on as superintendent, I had the opportunity to work with him for 12 years.
During his time in Plymouth, Dr. Campbell has been involved with many improvements to the district.
It's been really exciting to be a part of a lot of wonderful projects with Dr. Maestas. We built 2 schools in those years. We have instituted full-day kindergarten, had a new high school schedule, really expanded a lot of great programs. So it's really exciting to take over in this new role as superintendent with that experience and knowing just a lot of the great people in this community that have supported this district.
Not only does Dr. Campbell work in Plymouth, he is also a longtime resident whose kids have gone through the Plymouth Public Schools.
My wife and I moved here early 2000, so almost 21 years. Have 3 children, all who've attended the Plymouth Public Schools. My son graduated a couple of years ago from Plymouth North High School. I have 2 girls, a senior and a sophomore at Plymouth North High School. And I have 5 nieces and nephews that actually attend the schools too. So while this is a job for me, and I've been an administrator here for 12 years, this is home. So it's an exciting opportunity to work, and I'm truly honored to be working as a superintendent in the community that I call home.
While Dr. Campbell has been part of the Plymouth Public Schools for more than a decade, this year is unlike any other.
COVID-19 has been a challenge to say the least. It's been a lot of work, really excited to be back. Super excited. A lot of people worked extremely hard to get us back to where we are. It's hard. It's still hard, but I feel blessed to have the amazing support from all those groups that I just mentioned, from our teachers to our parents to our support staff, our custodians, our administration, because it's really it's a team effort. And if we continue to work on this together, not only do I feel that we'll continue to stay in the school, which is my first priority, but hopefully we can get back to a more routine situation here at school as well.
No matter what the circumstances are, Dr. Campbell says there's one thing that always comes first.
Students come first. So everything that we do as a district really has to have your best interest in mind, okay? So whether it's making sure that you feel safe and supported in this school, first and foremost, that is number one. You need to feel safe, you need to feel supported in your schools. We want you to have a connection to at least one adult in your school, because that really matters. I want you to feel proud about the school that you go to. So whether you're a Panther or you're an Eagle or you're at one of our elementary schools, it's really important that you feel proud to go there And the way to do that is to really foster your voice as a student.
Aside from Dr. Campbell's new position here as superintendent, we also have 2 new assistant superintendents. Dr. Stacey Rogers replaced Dr. Campbell as the assistant superintendent for administration and instruction, and Mr. Eric Chaffee is the new assistant superintendent for human resources, who took the place of our new principal, Mrs. Fry. Reporting for Panther TV, I'm Jennifer Rowland.
For many seniors, applying to college is a stressful process. And this year, some are finding it even more challenging with the COVID restrictions, limiting tours and test-taking opportunities. Here's Panther TV's Savannah Lyons with more.
Many of you know, coronavirus has created some obstacles in the college search and application process for seniors. But guidance counselors say not to worry. With a lot of uncertainty for the fall for campus life, remember to make the most of it by putting in your research and keeping up with your schoolwork and grades. This fall, we are back in school, but classes look much different. Desks are spaced, masks are on, and there's only half a class at a time. High school isn't the only difference. Colleges also have restrictions, which is leaving some seniors wondering about next year.
I'm nervous. I feel like everybody is a little nervous, but I'm also excited, kind of going new places in life, getting to look at new schools. So I'm nervous, but I'm excited.
Really nervous because I don't really know what to expect, but at the same time I'm excited.
While it has been difficult to visit colleges due to COVID restrictions, many schools are making efforts to help applicants by offering virtual tours and dropping some requirements.
I did attend a couple virtual tours already. I'm gonna plan on doing more since it's so easy access. And then I'm not sure about regular tours, just in-person tours. I'm gonna definitely try to get some in.
I am attending tours this year for college, but I have done a few virtual tours. They're not the same, but they still work.
SATs are going optional this year for all colleges. I think that has actually been really good for students because they know that it kind of takes the pressure off of them. So either they can send them if they feel like their scores are good, or they don't have to at all.
Many students are still taking advantage of a chance to take the SATs this fall regardless of the requirement.
I am taking the SATs this year. I feel confident that I'll get a good score, but at the same time I'm still nervous.
I'm a little worried about it, but I feel more comfortable with the whole if that I get a low score, I can choose not to send it, or if I get a good score, I can choose to send it. I like that option.
With so many unknowns about the pandemic, seniors are keeping an open mind about the future and know that just like for many college students this fall, college may not mean living on campus.
I don't necessarily think that the amount of students taking a gap year will increase. I do think we might see more students going to community college or commuting, only because there is so many unknowns with how things will shake out. So that could definitely be a possibility. But from the students that I've talked to, everyone is still full steam ahead applying to college.
If I did online college next year, an advantage would be I'd still be home with my friends and family. But a disadvantage would also be I wouldn't meet really new friends, which you're supposed to do in college, and get that independent experience.
I get to stay at home in my own comfort, with my family, get to still see my friends maybe. Disadvantages would be I don't get the college experience. I don't get all of the, a new roommate. I don't get to just have the college life. So that's definitely a big disadvantage.
No matter what the future holds, guidance counselors are here to help and want students to find the best fit for them.
Explore all of your options, take your time. I think a lot of students are feeling the pressure and the rush of things because we started school late. Just know that you don't necessarily have to apply early action if you're not ready. Work with your guidance counselors. We're here to help and support you, and take it one step at a time. The process is overwhelming, but the more that you can just break things down one step at a time, the better off you are.
During these uncertain times, you may have questions that arise. Remember, there are many resources you can turn to. Guidance counselors are available throughout the whole year, as well as teachers and staff. Reporting from Panther TV, I'm Savannah Lyons.
Not only has school been different, but sports have also been modified this fall. Here's Panther TV's Emma Pollock with a look at the changes.
Volleyball, golf, cross country, field hockey, and soccer were lucky enough to have a season this fall, but with that came new rules. Although the changes have been quite difficult, athletes feel that it's better than not being able to play at all. Masks on the field and off, and even while running. No throw-ins in soccer, and social distancing on the sidelines and in the stands. This is fall sports in 2020.
This year's field hockey season is a lot different than last year's because we have to play 7-on-7 instead of 11v11, which means there's a lot more space on the field. Also, we have to wear masks, which all other fall sports have to do.
This year's cross-country season is a lot different. For our first meet, we had to start 6 feet apart with masks on, and that makes it a lot harder to compete against your teammates and obviously the opponents.
So this year soccer looks a whole lot different. The game I grew up playing is totally changed due to COVID guidelines. This year we have to wear masks throughout the whole game. You're not allowed to head the ball at all. There's no throw-ins, there's kick-ins, and there's no corner kicks as well.
Fans are limited to 2 per player at home, and parents need to have a special pass on them to get in. But friends aren't allowed in the stands, leaving a big hole in the crowd.
So this year for home and away games, we are given 2 lanyards before the games, and we can give them to 2 parents or 2 people you would like to come and watch. There's also X's on the bleachers that mark where people are allowed to sit.
Despite the changes, these athletes are very grateful to have had a senior season at all.
So last year I played lacrosse in the spring, and unfortunately we weren't able to have that season. But this year we were able to have some fall sports, so I'm excited to play field hockey and get back with my team, even though we have different COVID regulations.
After missing my spring track season, I'm just grateful to be back running, even if the COVID guidelines make it a little different.
Even though there is so much change this year, I am really excited about being on the field with my best friends again, and I'm just trying to stay positive, and I'm excited to see what the soccer year is going to bring for me.
As an athlete myself, I'm happy to have had a chance to play, and I hope there's more to come. Reporting for Panther TV, I'm Emma Pollock.
With the holiday season rapidly approaching, many of us are usually looking forward to traveling or visiting with our family over the holidays. But this year, holiday celebrations may be drastically different. Panther TV's Michael Conway is here with more.
Thanksgiving is a holiday close to Plymouth's heart. It is also a time when once a year, friends and family can gather together to celebrate. However, this year there will be no parade here in Plymouth, and families are being told to be cautious when it comes to gatherings. For over a decade, the Plymouth community has been planning a massive celebration for 2020 in honor of the 400th anniversary of the Pilgrims arriving here and the first Thanksgiving. But due to COVID-19, celebrations have had to be canceled, and the 400th anniversary has been nothing as expected. Now as the holiday season approaches, it is not just towns and cities having to cancel plans, but families are now having to rethink their celebrations due to size and travel restrictions. This is hard for everyone, but even more difficult for those with family far away.
So most of my family is in Michigan still. That's where I'm originally from. And yeah, they're all still there. I did go this summer. It was a decision that I made with my family. I was a little bit nervous to do so, to be honest, because Michigan as a state isn't in as good of a place as Massachusetts is with coronavirus, but it was something that I definitely needed to do just for my own mental health. And so when I came back to Massachusetts, though, I did have a COVID test before coming back because the travel ban had just gone into effect. So I did have my negative COVID test so that I could legally come back into the state of Massachusetts.
Although Plymouth South teacher Allison Shaver did get a chance to go home this summer, she's not sure how the holidays will pan out this year.
I said to Miss Ivan, I'm probably going to cry. And I'm like, ooh, it's definitely playing a role in my decisions for the holidays. I usually go home for Thanksgiving. I usually go home for Christmas. I have my flight this year for Christmas, but for the first time in my life, I bought flight insurance just in case I need to cancel that. If for some reason it doesn't work out. I'm very hopeful that I'll get to travel at Christmas, but I'm also understanding that if the science tells me that it's not safe to do so, I just might not be able to do that. And it'll be hard, but hopefully if we can all just follow the rules and do what we're supposed to do, we can get on the other side of this, and I'll be able to see them soon enough.
Ms. Shaver is one of many dealing with the uncertainty of traveling during the pandemic and not being able to be with family far away. Much of Plymouth South junior Caetano Fernandez's family lives there in Brazil. He too made a trip there this summer. As a regular traveler, he found this year much different.
Very more regulated, and of course, there's always people watching you to make sure that you have your mask on, and you're always, and there's definitely a lot more hygienic standards going on, like bathrooms. There's certain times that you can't go into the bathroom.
Upon arrival, Caetano had to quarantine for a week, and then another 2 weeks when returning stateside. Even though Caetano was able to travel, he has no plans to head back anytime soon, which is hard, but he says even his family in Brazil is facing challenges.
In Brazil, everyone is just so distant from each other, and we just spend so much time just on face calls and all that stuff. So it does get pretty lonely, considering that even my family in Brazil, they don't see each other regularly. They only visit maybe once like for 1 hour in like a month or something. So like grandparents, they're like very lonely, very like by themselves. So
Social distancing is being advised by Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker for the upcoming holidays in order to halt the spread of the coronavirus. I'm Michael Conaway reporting for Panther TV.
While the economy has been struggling with the shutdowns, the real estate market has been booming over the last several months. Here's Panther TV's Justin Gates with an inside look.
You've likely noticed many real estate signs popping up in yards all over the town since the last spring. For those looking to get out, right now there's never been a better time to sell. But the challenge now is finding a place to go. COVID-19 has meant new restrictions on just about everything, including how people hunt for new homes.
Open houses, there's been a lot of changes, obviously, since everything with COVID hit, and really strict guidelines are followed. We used to be able to just have a block of time and let people come in the house. As a matter of fact, I did an open house in January. There was over 40 different parties that came in, they signed in, and they walked through the house on their own, and we were kind of there to ask questions. But now we need people to really read a disclosure statement stating and signing that they haven't been sick.
Some of these new rules mean 6-foot distancing, one-way tours, and making reservations for an open house. But these new restrictions aren't keeping people from looking.
The real estate market has been absolutely insanely busy. It had been busy for a while. Interest rates are low, and that will obviously drive a lot of people to be able to afford houses that they maybe wouldn't have been able to on a higher interest rate.
So many people are looking for houses right now that the selling process is like, just put it out there and someone's going to want it.
The lower interest rate, coupled with months of sitting at a home, which some may decide they've outgrown or do not like any longer, is making the market great for sellers.
If you don't make an offer right when you see the house, then it's going to be gone.
If you're listing a house, and a lot of houses now have multiple offer situations, where it's an attractive house, attractive location, an attractive price for that particular target audience of buyer, it's important as a listing agent to help the seller make a good decision on whose offer you want to accept. And as they say, cash is king. And if a customer has a cash offer, a lot of times it will put them in a better position to accept their offer than it might be someone who has to wait to get a loan or possibly even sell a property before they can qualify for a loan.
Houses routinely selling for over the list price, as well as so many people putting in cash offers, is making it challenging for those on a hunt for a new home.
The dominoes have to fall the correct way.
I would say they're paying more for a home, and that's a factor of the simplest case of supply and demand, the earliest lesson of economics. When you have a house that, say, is on the market for $400,000, and maybe last year that same house would have gone for $380,000. Now if it's going for $400,000 and you have 4 or 5 people who want it, they'll bid each other up. So the houses are definitely more pricey now, but again, it's really because of supply and demand.
While COVID has brought upon many challenges, selling a home is not one of them. The problem is when after you sell your home, where do you go now? With more and more people moving out of the city, it's bringing more and more people to this area and leaving less homes for people looking. Reporting for Panther TV, I'm Justin Gates.
For 8 months now, small businesses have been struggling to stay afloat due to shutdowns and the impact COVID has had on tourism. Panther TV's Ainsley Richardson talked to a local woman who has businesses in Plymouth and South Florida that both rely on tourists to keep them going.
The Plymouth waterfront is full of small shops and locally owned businesses, many of which are open seasonally and rely heavily on tourism to make money. But this year, coronavirus put a halt to what was expected to be the best year yet. For years, Plymouth residents and business owners have been planning for 2020. It was supposed to be a year of celebrating the town's 400th anniversary, with events expected to draw tourists from all over all year long.
This was our 400th anniversary for the Mayflower this year. So we have no tourists, we had no boat till I think August it came back. I couldn't hire any of my staff back, everyone was home. So it was bad. It was a half of season with no anniversary.
Lori Gibbs and her family own the John Alden gift shop as well as Lori Jean & Co. on Water Street. She says canceled events and restrictions on travel meant a different crowd visiting her stores this year.
Once things got a little situated, people started coming out of the house. We did get a lot of locals. I've lived in Massachusetts all my life and we've never gone to Plymouth, so they come down for the day. Plymouth is a day trip a lot of time. So I think that helped. We still did okay.
Fortunately, Gibbs and her family own the buildings that house her stores, which she says helped her survive the shutdown, whereas other businesses haven't been so lucky.
It's a family business. We've owned the buildings for 100 years, so therefore I don't have to rent like everybody else. A lot of businesses have closed just due to the fact that they can't pay their rent. They've gone through all their life savings. They're taking out loans. The PPE money that everybody got went so quickly.
Aside from the Plymouth businesses, Gibbs also owns a second Laura Jean & Co. in Venice, Florida. With many COVID restrictions being state-based, Gibbs says her Florida business fared better, but the busy season down there is just getting started, and the impact is still yet to be seen.
She's still doing really well right now, even though this is her slow time in Florida. I think a lot of people, when the pandemic hit, they stayed in Florida rather than going back to their house. So there's still quite a bit of people down there. The traffic is heavy. So we'll see how the travel goes for her for this winter. But we're on the downside for my season, so hopefully hers will pick up.
While business isn't booming, Gibbs is still positive for the future of her business and others here in town. Reporting for Panther TV, I'm Ainsley Richardson.
That's our time for today.
Thanks for joining us.
Have a great day, South.